My name is Lina. I am 24 years old. This is the beginning of a story I never thought I would live, a story that changed everything. I had just moved to a new city. Tall buildings, busy streets, and so many people I did not know. Everything felt strange. I left my hometown for a new job. It was a big step and a scary one. I miss my family, my friends, and my small, quiet life. Each evening, I walked alone from work to my small apartment. I ate dinner by myself. I watched the cars go by through the window. My heart felt empty. I smiled outside, but inside I was lonely. One rainy evening, I stopped by a little bookstore on my way home. The rain was heavy. I was wet and tired. I just wanted to find a good book to read, something to take my mind away from everything. As I looked through the shelves, my fingers touched someone else's hand. I looked up, and there he was, a man, tall, soft brown eyes, kind smile. He smiled and said, "Sorry, I think we both want the same book." I laughed softly and said, "Maybe it's a good one." Then he handed me the book and said, "You can have it." "No," I replied. "You were here first." We both laughed. That moment, it felt different, simple but warm, like the rain outside had stopped just for us. We talked for a few minutes about books, about the city, about life. His voice was calm. His words were gentle. I felt like I had known him forever, but I did not even know his name. He said, "Well, I hope you enjoy the book." I said, "Thank you. I hope I see you again." He smiled and said, "Maybe you will." Then he walked away. Just like that. I stood there, holding the book, but thinking only about him. Who was he? I asked myself, why do I feel this way? That night, I could not sleep. I kept replaying our short talk in my mind. His smile, his voice, his eyes. It was silly, right? Falling for someone I just met, someone I did not even know. But my heart, it had already started whispering his name. The next day, I went to the bookstore again. He was not there. The day after that, I went again. Still no sign of him. But I kept going. Every day, hoping, wishing, waiting for the stranger who made my heart feel full in just a few minutes. It's funny how life works sometimes. I wasn't expecting it, but one morning I saw him again. It happened so suddenly. I was waiting in line at the coffee shop, feeling sleepy and tired after a long night of thinking about him. I was holding my coffee cup, staring at the counter when I heard a familiar voice. "Excuse me, Lina?" I froze. That voice. I turned around slowly, and there he was, standing right behind me. My heart skipped a beat. "Hi," he said, smiling. "I remember you from the bookstore." I smiled back, my face turning red. "Yes, I remember you too. I was hoping I'd see you again," he said, his eyes sparkling. "I never asked, how's the book?" I laughed nervously. It's great. Really interesting." He chuckled. "I'm glad to hear that. Would you like to sit with me? I'm just having a coffee." I could hardly believe it. He asked me to sit with him? My heart was racing. I nodded quickly. "Sure, I'd love that," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. We found a small table near the window. I sat down across from him, and we started talking like we had known each other forever. The conversation flowed easily. We talked about books, about life, about the city, about everything and nothing. He told me about his job, about his family, and about how he ended up in this city. I told him about my move here, my dreams, and the struggles I faced. I couldn't believe how comfortable I felt with him. His smile made everything feel lighter. His words made my heart feel warmer. I found myself laughing at his jokes, smiling at his stories, and feeling something deep inside me. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. I didn't want this moment to end, but of course it did. After an hour, he stood up to leave. "It was really nice to talk to you, Lina," he said softly. "I hope we can do this again sometime." I smiled, my heart racing again. "I'd really like that." He gave me one last smile before walking out of the coffee shop. And just like that, he was gone. But this time, something felt different. I didn't feel empty anymore. I felt hopeful. As I left the coffee shop, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I thought about his smile, his laughter, and the way he made me feel so special, so seen. I had only known him for a short time, but it felt like so much more. Could this be the beginning of something? I asked myself, could he be the one? Days passed, and I couldn't stop thinking about him. It wasn't just the coffee or the nice conversation we had. It was more than that. There was something about him, something in the way he looked at me, something in the way he made me laugh. I tried not to get too excited, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop replaying that moment in my head. I wanted to see him again. I wanted to know more about him. Was he thinking about me too? Did he feel the same spark I did? I kept telling myself, it's just a coffee, nothing more. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. Then, one evening, after a long day at work, I was walking home when my phone buzzed. It was a message. I looked at the screen, and there it was, a text from him. "Hey, Lina, I hope your day was good. I was wondering if you'd like to grab coffee again sometime. I'd love to continue our conversation." My heart leapt in my chest. I stared at the message, my hands shaking just a little. Was this really happening? Was he asking me out again? I quickly typed back, "I'd love that. When are you free?" The seconds felt like hours, but then he replied, "How about tomorrow morning? I know a great place with the best coffee." I smiled at my phone. Tomorrow! It was happening again. I felt nervous, but I also felt something else. Something exciting. A flutter in my stomach. The next morning, I woke up early. I couldn't sleep properly, thinking about him. I took extra care in getting ready. I chose a nice dress, did my hair, and even put on a little makeup. I wanted to look nice. I wanted him to see the real me. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I saw him standing outside, waiting for me. He was wearing a simple shirt, but he looked perfect. "Hey, you look great," he said, giving me a smile that made my heart skip. I blushed. "Thank you, you too." We sat down, and again, the conversation flowed, so naturally. It was like no time had passed since the last time we met. We talked about everything, our favorite books, our childhoods, our dreams, and our fears. I was starting to feel something more, something deeper. I was falling for him, and I couldn't deny it anymore. But there was one thing I couldn't figure out. Was he feeling the same way? I looked into his eyes, hoping for a sign. And then he reached across the table. Lina, he said, his voice serious but warm. I really enjoy spending time with you. I like how easy it is to talk to you. My heart raced. I like you, he said, his voice quiet but full of meaning. A lot. Those words. He liked me. I smiled, my heart full of joy. I like you too, I said softly. We sat there for a moment, just looking at each other, both of us smiling. And in that moment, everything felt right. Maybe this was the beginning of something beautiful. The days that followed were nothing short of magical. I saw him almost every day. We shared long conversations, laughter, and moments that felt so special. But I knew deep down there was something I hadn't asked him yet, something that weighed on my heart. And that question had to be asked. One evening, after a long walk in the park, as the sun set behind us, I turned to him, my voice trembling. Tell me, Mark, I said softly, where do you see this going? Us, I mean. He looked at me, his eyes full of warmth, but there was a slight hesitation in his expression. Lina, he said gently, I really enjoy being with you. I like you. I think there's something special here. My heart fluttered, but I still needed to know more. I took a deep breath and continued. Are you looking for something serious or just fun? There, I said it. The question that had been haunting me for days. Mark looked at me with such sincerity that I could see the wheels turning in his mind. He was thinking. His face softened. I care about you, Lina, he said slowly. I really do, but I don't know. I've been hurt before. I'm not sure if I'm ready for something serious. His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I was shocked, but I tried not to show it. I understand, I whispered, feeling a lump rise in my throat. I understand. But inside, I was torn apart. I had opened myself up to him. I had started to believe that maybe, just maybe, we had a future. And now, it felt like everything was slipping through my fingers. The silence between us stretched on. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to beg him to try to give us a chance. But another part of me wanted to walk away before I got hurt. Mark seemed to sense my pain. I don't want to hurt you, Lina, he said softly. I just need more time. I don't want to rush into anything. I care about you too much for that. The tears started to well up in my eyes, but I fought them back. Mark, I care about you too, I said, my voice shaky. I just want to know if you're really in this with me. I don't want to keep going in circles. I want something real. There it was. My heart laid bare. We stood there in the quiet park, facing each other. I'll think about it, Mark said after a long pause. I promise, Lina, I will. But I knew deep down that things would never be the same again. Maybe he wasn't ready for love. Maybe I was just a moment for him, and that hurt more than I could ever explain. The days after that conversation felt like a blur. I kept waiting. I kept hoping. I kept telling myself that he needed time, that things would be okay. But deep down, I knew that nothing was the same. Mark didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't make any effort to reach out. I tried not to think about it, but it was impossible. Every time my phone buzzed, I'd glance at it with a flutter of hope in my chest, only to be disappointed every time. He had promised to think about it. He had promised to make a decision. But the longer I waited, the more I felt the weight of uncertainty growing heavier. A week went by, then two. Still nothing. I was heartbroken. I had given him my trust, my love, my hopes, and now it felt like he had taken them and left me with nothing. One evening, as I sat alone in my room, I couldn't hold it in anymore. The tears flowed, uncontrollable and fast. My heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. I had invested so much in him, in us, and now I was left with nothing but a memory of someone who had promised more than he could give. My friends tried to comfort me. "It's not your fault," they said. "He wasn't ready, Lina. You deserve someone who's ready." But those words didn't make the pain go away. They didn't heal the emptiness inside me. I missed him. I missed his smile. I missed the way he made me feel special. I even missed the feeling of being in love. But I also knew that I had to let go. I had to stop holding on to something that wasn't meant to be. That night, I made a decision. I would stop waiting. I would stop crying over someone who didn't want me the way I wanted him. I wiped away my tears, took a deep breath, and told myself, I deserve more than this. It was not easy. It hurt so much. But slowly, I began to realize that I could not wait around for someone who was not ready to give me the love I needed. I was not going to be his second choice. The next morning, I deleted his number from my phone. I did not want to keep hoping, waiting, and wishing. I needed to move on. I needed to heal. It was not going to be quick. It was not going to be easy. But I knew one thing. I deserved someone who wanted me just as much as I wanted them. And that person was not Mark. I was not going to beg. I was not going to chase after him, because I knew deep down that sometimes love is not enough. Sometimes we need more than just feelings. We need commitment. We need honesty. We need someone who is truly ready to love. And as much as it hurt, I had to let him go. So I took a deep breath and said goodbye to the person I thought I would love forever. It was time for me to love myself. And that was the hardest but most important decision I would ever make.